Hello and welcome to the Advanced Sales Tactics webinar for March 20th, 2023. This is the monthly webinar for folks in the know who are somewhat experienced sales attendants on the EverWash platform, working at car washes out there across the nation. This is for you all to put extra tools in your tool belt to help you have more success, convert a greater percentage of customers, and help you make more money in the long and short of it. You can check us out every month, once a month, and they're pretty quick. Today, I have the honor and privilege of starting a new series. The series is basically an interview series where I have a chance to talk to some of my favorite salespeople across the nation in different parts of the car wash sales industry and find their top tips for success. Today, I am joined by a good friend of mine, Michael Stern. Michael is the Vice President of Sales here at EverWash. I've been working with Michael for a very long time. I've had many a conversation with Michael about the ins and outs of sales. I've used a lot of his immense sales experience to help me hone sort of our craft here when I'm training people and training attendants to sell or sell better. So Mike, I appreciate your tutelage in the years we've worked together as friends and peers here. Thanks for giving us some time today.
You bet, Sean. Thanks for having me. I look forward to, if I haven't met you or talked to you at some point, any attendant joining, maybe our paths will cross. I do work to bring a lot of our wash partners on, all the washes that work with us. So at one point I may have worked with your wash and might know the ins and outs. But I hope what we talk about today is helpful to everyone.
Great. Mike, you've got a pretty advanced, you've had a long career in sales. Can you just tell us a little bit about your background?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'll begin by telling you that I didn't start out in a typical sales role. I started out, I actually graduated from college and took a development. I was a developer out of school and moved on to consulting. What's interesting is the divide or basically the gap between sales and any other role in the organization. It's not as far as people think. This idea of being in sales, it shouldn't be scary to people. Obviously, it's a different role than potentially you might have. But essentially, in my background, I started out in development. I moved on to some consulting and project management roles, and in every aspect of those roles, I had an element of sales. I needed to continue to grow the business we were doing on whatever project I worked on, and I identified needs and spoke to the necessary people about how we could help deliver a project or whatever it was that we were delivering, how we could help. And eventually it turned into a sale, and basically just doing that over the years, I eventually said, I'd like a full-time sales role. I actually want, a territory, and I want to actually be in this role where I'm, putting our product out there and signing a contract, because everything I had done leading up to it so closely paralleled, and I was in the process anyway. So that's how I made the official jump to sales. But I'll talk about this in a minute. Essentially, every one of us is in sales. Okay. So the jump isn't that drastic. But in my background, like I said, wasn't traditionally in, the sales role, but over the years, I've done it. I've gone through a lot of training on different methodologies and how to negotiate. And at the end of the day, every one of those advanced, trainings that I've been to and those advanced methodologies, it comes back to a couple things. It comes back to listening. It comes back to understanding of the need of your customer, and it comes to sometimes challenging them, presenting them with a different viewpoint, and then being willing to ask for business, right? So we'll talk about all of that, but the principles, in any sales training you go through, they're not that far of a jump from what a lot of people already do in their personal life when they go shopping or they negotiate. This is people have the tools in their tool belt. You just have to know how to hone them in.
Right. Well, thanks for that, Mike. So, in continuing to talk about salesmanship, obviously, salesmanship just being all these skills that we're going to talk about. We're going to make this short and sweet, and we're going to go through Michael's top tips, which I think are just really fantastic. And I try and you sometimes you get so wrapped up in what sales is that you forget about the basics. And what I like about the tips that you shared with us, Mike, is they take you through a progression as a salesperson in what you should do. And firstly, you and I may even learned this from you, and I think maybe I included it because of conversation with you, but everyone's in sales ultimately, right, Mike?
Yeah, that's right. Everyone is in sales, whether it's your job, it's speaking specifically about a car wash role, whether it's your job to greet someone or your job to prep a car, or your job to dry a car, or your job as a manager. At the end of the day, your interaction with that customer is a sales touch. If you create a negative experience, that customer is not going to come back. If you create a positive experience, that customer is going to come back. So you're already doing it, right? Every single person that talks or interacts with a customer is in sales. That's the bottom line. You're already doing it. You're creating a negative a negative or a positive experience. So don't be intimidated by the fact that you have to sell, right? Because part of your job greeting is selling. Part of your job prepping is selling. Part of your job drawing is selling. Part of your job managing is selling. Don't be intimidated by it. You're doing it already.
That's great. Yeah, I really feel that all the times I sell in my life, even before I got into sales, you're always selling. Trying to talk your wife into going to the place you want to go to for dinner. It's all sales tactic, right?
Yeah, absolutely, Sean.
Number two, I love this one. You have two ears and one mouth for a reason. Why is that?
Yep. I'll expand on that. If you talk to anybody, we talk about a positive and negative experience. If you don't observe and listen and understand the needs of your customer, you're automatically creating a negative experience, right? If someone shows up and they say to you, I'm in a rush, I've got to get out, don't sell them on your biggest package, right? Ask that, right? Let them know that they're valued. You're going to get them through quickly, and say, hey, come back when you have a little more time because you love this experience. You have to listen to people. You have to. If someone says, you know what, I'm tight on money, and then you go and you try to sell them your top package, you're not listening to them. There are certain attributes and certain ways to do things, but in my mind, the first thing you need to do is essentially listen to people, understand what their needs are, understand if they have any questions, and provide that consultative voice or that educative voice. And we'll talk about that next. But the idea here is don't just spit, I always say, don't just, vomit at people. Don't just, shout. Like in part of our, I'm sure part of the other sessions that you provided, Sean, come down to how to be prepared to give a script, how to be prepared to talk about chemicals, et cetera, et cetera. You need to figure out exactly what people are looking for and tailor your message based on what that need is. And that starts with you listening. It starts with your ears, and not until you listen can you actually deliver a proper message.
That's so great. I really feel that everyone's trying to get out what they have to say, even in environments that aren't necessarily sales involved. We're always so concerned with getting out what we have to say, we don't often listen. So I think that's great in any scenario. Next is educate and observe. What did you mean there?
Yeah, so this is one of the most important things that you can do in your sales role. Educate and observe. It's about understanding what your customers' needs might be and then helping them understand something they might not know, right? And being observant, of course, helps you deliver that, right? So, for example, if you see somebody's car is exceptionally dirty and they come in and they want to get the basic, right? And I'm tailoring all of this to the conversation. You might say to them, hey, you might be disappointed with the basic. It's meant to, it's more of a touch-up option, right? Some of our other packages might provide you with a better car wash and you won't be disappointed at the end. Let me give you 50% off, right? Or whatever it might be. but it's your job to look at the car and tell them how their experience is going to be the best. You know what you're selling, you know what your service is, and it's your job to educate. I'd like to also talk about, in this current economy, people are starting to buy cars. When I say buy cars, they're actually purchasing or financing their vehicle as opposed to leasing. Why is this important? When you see a new car come in, it's important to educate them how different chemicals and how what you're doing at the wash today can help shine and protect that car, right? So this is all about observing and educating people, helping them understand how a membership will protect their investment in that car in the long run. At the end of the day, we know in this economy, interest rates have changed, leasing. A lot of people, several years ago were buying cars and they were disposable. They were getting rid of them in 3 years. What we've seen is a shift in that car purchasing behavior. And now people are actually financing their car over 7 or 8 years. So this is just one example. If we're talking about educating, the importance of protecting and maintaining and helping protect your investment, it's something that people might not think about, but when they come through the car wash and you see that they have a new car, it might be worth saying, hey, do you know the value of putting a ceramic product or a graphene product on the car? Do you know the value of this wax, right? So the bottom line is, it's about educating them what the different applications, what the different packages do. And by you educating, that just makes it easier for you to sell.
That's so right. We always talk about this is, for many people, their number one or at least their number two expense. It's about car wash insurance. It's about making sure that the finish of the car, lives as long as the engine does, right?
Right.
And then next, always have a next step. What's that mean, Mike?
Sean, this is just about if you deliver a pitch and don't ask them or don't deliver and say, hey, do you want to buy, right? This is how we're going to get you set up.
Call to action.
You've delivered it in vain, right? You need to have a plan for how you're going to basically deliver that next step. And it might not always be closing, right? We're talking about selling a car wash membership here. In the first instance, or several minutes ago, I talked about how someone said, hey, I'm in a rush. I need to get out of here today. Maybe that's not the best time to sell them a membership, right? But handing them a rack card, right? And saying, hey, here's a rack card. My promo code is on the back. I'm not going to deliver the pitch today. I respect your time. But if you have a minute, take a look at it. Come back. We'll run you through again, and I'll talk to you a little bit about it, right? That's what I mean by having a next step. It's not just saying, oh, you're in a rush, go. Here's a quick way to get you in and out. Thank them for being a customer and get them to come back, right? If they are looking like they're going to buy a membership, maybe they're not sure about it. The next step is, hey, let me tell you how easy it is to sign up, right? The bottom line is, if you deliver the pitch, if you deliver that education, the next step is essentially, okay, let me ask you if you'll buy this today, right?
Right.
And if you don't ask, you will not receive.
I think, Mike, the most important difference that I've seen personally between good and great salespeople is that call to action, is turning from the pitch to the sale, getting that magic to happen by what you say in the very last bit of that pitch and that call to action. You're absolutely right.
Absolutely.
And lastly, we talk about this a lot in my training, Mike, making them feel important in their values. It's about integrity. It's about doing the right thing even when no one's looking. And it's about making people feel special and understanding that, if you're great at this game, 70, 80% of people that you pitch are going to say no. But without them, there's no car wash. Without the car wash, there's no people washing cars. And there's no membership. There's nobody making money. There's no payroll, right? So all these things start with just making people feel special and doing the right thing, right, Mike?
And you know what, Sean, it's important and valued. And I'll give you a couple examples. If someone pulls up and they have a dog in the car, it's about, saying hi to the dog, giving them a treat, right? If someone shows up and they have kids, it's about giving them, saying hi to the kids. If someone pulls up, say hi to them, let them know that you recognize them, make them more than just like a passing transaction. That's how relationships develop, and that's how you get people to want to listen to you, right? These top tips, I wouldn't put them in any particular order. They're important. I mean, we outline them here, but making someone feel important, knowing who your customers are, That
It's
could
the
be number
ante of the
one,
game.
right? It could be
That's
the most
right.
important thing that you do. And by the way, the difference between a pitch where you say, hey, I see you here all the time. Thanks for coming back. You're a great customer. If it weren't for you, I don't know where we'd be. We rely on customers like you. The difference between that and, hi, can I sell you a membership is just so drastic, right?
It really
Make
is.
people feel like you know them and that you want them to come back and you want them to remain a customer.
Wow. That's amazing. That, Mike, this has exceeded my expectations. Thank you so much for the time. I want to make this series quick hits with talented people like yourself. Thank you for being a part of this first video. Hopefully everyone out there gets to take a look at this and enjoy it. Michael, thanks for your time. Everyone out there, don't forget your tools, right? Utilize the basics of what we talked about. Incorporate the things that Mike has talked about today. Utilizing the rack card to increase your conversion rate and become a professional. Not just a professional at what you're doing, but a professional salesperson. You can use that for the rest of your life, no matter what. Michael, thank you for your time today. I appreciate it. For everyone else, go to youtube.com /EverWash, or just search EverWash on YouTube. Michael, thank you very much. It's been our
Thank
pleasure.
you, Sean. Thank you to everyone. Have a great day. Happy washing.
Thank you. Cheers.